All right. Hello, and welcome to the Spacejumper podcast. My name is Jared, and I am your host. Today, I have a very special guest in the house, in the studio today, and he is very widely known for his amazing photography skills and your business that you're in, and it's just you have a very interesting story. So, Mr. Philip Emerson, everybody, how you doing, friend?
Thanks for having me, Jared.
Sure.
So I do photography here in the Houston area. I've been doing it for about 4 years now,
Right.
professionally. And I've been doing it for a lot longer than that, just as a hobby. But
Sure.
been doing it for 4 years professionally. And I have a wife that does it alongside me, Leslie. She does videography. She works with me. And so we do everything together.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow. Yeah, you guys have built a little empire for yourselves, you know.
trying to.
What is it like being a professional photographer? You know, because I mean, I was looking at your website, and you guys offer so many different things. You know, whether it's for ceremonies or creative events, you know, or you know, really, it just seems like you love what you do, and that's really interesting. So, what is life like as a professional photographer?
Yeah. So being a professional photographer for me is, it's honestly a dream come true, because ever since I was in high school, middle school, I had an interest in photography, and I loved to just take pictures of my friends, take pictures of even my family, and of anywhere I was at. You know, anywhere in Houston, just out. I would take pictures, and it turned into a bigger hobby. So now I get to do that professionally. And it's just for me, it's just crazy to be here, and getting to do something you love is truly a blessing. And, I want to give God all the credit, because he brought me to where I am now. It's fully him that is blessing me in this, because it's very rare to get to do what you love for a living, you know, to get to do that 100%
Right.
and take care of your family as well. So it's one thing to, do what you love for a living, but to be living comfortable is just amazing.
Right.
Doing photography, it is a lot of ups and downs, so it's not all like rainbows and butterflies, but for the most part, through all the hardships, like every day you learn something new, every day you learn to get past something, and especially as an entrepreneur, like it's a whole nother layer of learning to get past things. So it's just a really big blessing to get to do what you love, and especially alongside my wife, who does the same thing.
Sure.
That's just an extra layer of just amazing.
Wow. Yeah, it's definitely very unique to be able to do what you want and be sustainable, and that sustainability is really the key, because, you need ends need to meet, somehow, and doing it by, being involved in things that you just really appreciate is definitely an amazing thing. So yeah, hats off to you, man, and you and your wife. You've kind of, like I said, you've kind of created this empire. And it's almost as if I came across your profile because your photography was posted on several Houston pages and things like that, and so they had tagged you in it. And so I went to your page and I started checking out your stuff, and I was like, man, this guy's really doing a lot, And you are from Houston?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Houston, specifically the Pasadena area.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so like pretty
it's
much
nice out there.
Yeah, right off of Beltway and 45. So I grew up in a lot of the Pasadena, Clear Lake, Pearland area.
Right.
And funny enough, my wife is from the opposite, like Cypress. So northwest for her and southeast for me. But I love the area that I grew up in, and it's just so much culture over there. Like, it's so diverse versus, whenever you're in certain parts of Houston, you're going to find only like one group of people, and it can be kind of like in an echo chamber. But where I grew up, it was very diverse, many different types of people and ideas. And that combined with just the people that I was around, like helped me to have a more balanced view on people,
Do you think that Houston culture kind of maybe molded the way that you do your shoots and things like that?
I definitely think Houston culture had a lot to do with it, because when I first started out, it was a lot about rooftops, about the skyline, about the cityscapes, and also abandoned buildings. So Houston has plenty of both. They have plenty of abandoned buildings, plenty of views of the skyline, and so that's kind of what fueled me in the very beginning. Is I would go out with a lot of my friends, and I was in high school at the time, so every day we would go out after school. I'd get out of high school, drive straight to downtown, and just park and walk and explore.
Wow.
Go to all the skyscrapers in downtown. We'd hit like all the tall buildings, and just it felt
That's
it
good
felt
memories,
very
too.
it felt very freeing, because a lot of people in high school, like people have different phases. Some people stay in all the time. They party. They study a lot of the times. And for me, it was just like photography. That's what I sunk all my time into, and it's just really crazy to look back on all the places I've been, and all the places I've been is just really mind blowing to say I was actually here in this spot. And that's what capturing photos really helps me with, is remembering, because there's so many things that happen throughout our life, and whenever you have a photo to look back on, you can bring yourself back to that moment.
Right.
Like what you were doing there, why you were there, it can all come back just by looking at a photo. And it kind of like unlocks a story, especially for the person that took the photo, for them to share.
Man, I know my family, or my mom specifically, she has this big box of just tons of photos. I mean, just probably thousands of photos just over the years, and you look at some of those, and I mean, it's crazy to see time, and how time continues on, and I mean, it's just so insane to see, my grandmother at a young age, and people back in 1970 something, buying like the new Ford Mustang, and kind of seeing infrastructure back in the day, and all of these variations of life, and then to where we are today, it's insane. And that kind of, goes along with your story too, because, you started off, from a young age, just inspired by photography and exploring and taking new photos, but you have advanced so much further than that now, because I saw that you're involved in like social media, photo collections, and you do graduation photos, couples, family photos. I mean, the business that you're running is it offers a lot of options, and when there's a lot of options, that is good, because everybody is looking for something different in this world of photography. So what exactly kind of turned you on to making the jump into your business?
Yeah. So I started off in high school, and I would just literally use my iPhone, use my iPhone 7 and get crazy angles and do a bunch of just weird things that, like, if you see me doing it, it look like an influencer nowadays, just use my iPhone and take pictures. And so people that I knew, I would show them my pictures, I'd post them online, and people I knew, family friends and church friends, just people in my life, they would reach out to me and say, "Hey, I saw you're taking photos. Like, do you think you could take photos for this?" And I would be like, "Oh, I only have a phone, but I don't know anyone." And so I just would say no. But eventually, my friend Ashton, who I'm still close friends with today, he told me, like, "Hey, maybe you should get a professional camera, so you can take higher quality photos." And I'm like, "No, you don't need a professional camera nowadays. We have our phones." And I was like all in on that, and I did the research on it, and I realized, no, there actually is a difference between a phone and a professional camera. So for Christmas that year, my parents and my grandma all like kind of chipped in to get me my first professional camera. And as soon as I got that, like, I finally saw photography through a whole another world. It's like a whole world opened up once I got an actual camera. So shout out to Ashton on helping me with that. He tells me to this day that I owe him like 30% of what I made, because he helped me start.
Right, exactly.
No, but
it only makes sense,
Exactly, yeah. But I pretty much got that professional camera, and then I started to feel more confident in what I was doing. And so when people would ask me, I would say, "Yeah, I can do it." And I would just charge him like $75 for a shoot and not really worry about how much time it took. Just, charge him something. And I started to make money, and I thought like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like this thing that I like to do is making me money. And so I didn't think too much of it. I still thought like I need to go to college, finish high school, and just keep focusing on that because that's what I need to do. That's what people are told. And so I kept following that. But then I got more and more opportunities coming up throughout high school, and I started to make enough money to where I was making just the same as if I worked at Chick-fil-A or if I worked at a grocery store, if I worked somewhere during high school. So I was making okay money for a high schooler.
Right.
And when I got into college, it just started to grow even more. And it got to the point where I was getting so many opportunities coming up that it started to interfere with my classes, and where I'd have to do the photo shoot or not go to class. And obviously I chose classes, but this other guy, Gilbert Sosa, he's an amazing video creator, just amazing person. Look him up, Gilbert Sosa. He talked to me one day and said like he decided to take a break from college and just go all in on his video making and go nonstop. So that way he had momentum. And he told me that at the end of those 4 years, he had so many more connections, so many more like portfolio experience than the people that just went to school for 4 years. And whenever I heard that, there was a shift in my mind that made me think, maybe doing photography full time is possible. And maybe I should take this as an opportunity. So after 1 year of college, I decided to take a break, and I kind of just hit the ground running and started doing more shoots, posting more often, getting my portfolio bigger, traveling, and things just started to blow up. Because during that time on Instagram, it was a lot easier to get your name out there. The algorithm was a lot more friendly at that time.
Yeah.
So
it's
you could,
brutal these days.
It is brutal. Like even for me, with however many followers I have, it doesn't translate anymore to the views or the likes you get. But yeah, at the time it was so easy to take off. So my photography just kind of took off, and like I said, I was out every day because I had the time. I wasn't going to college anymore. I was trying to go all in on making money with photography. So I moved out of my parents' house at 19, and I just started going in full time. And so that was right around the time COVID happened. Like literally the month before COVID happened, I moved out of my parents' house, and so that was really stressful. Like the lockdowns and everything.
I could see that.
And so after the lockdowns happened, Houston just opened up again, like it never happened. And so people were wanting to get out of their house, book shoots, and they had all this stimulus money. And so my business started to boom during COVID. Whenever a lot of businesses were suffering, like thankfully mine actually started to get more traction.
Right.
And so that push really helped me during that hard time whenever everything was shut down in the country. So COVID was a really big deciding point in my life. Like a lot of stuff shifted from hobby to full-time profession in that time.
Wow. And it's crazy how things pop up in life that kind of shift the outcome of your decision making and things like that. It's amazing. So and since COVID, is this a recent like when did you start? You said 2019?
Like photography for fun or
your
professionally?
Business, yeah.
Oh, my business, I did start it in 2020. So 2020. Like I would say for me, the moment that I started to do it professionally is when I started to live on my own. That's kind of the moment where I draw the line, because I had been doing professional photos in more of a hobby kind of way since 2018.
Sure.
So I had actual money coming in since 2018, but I say 2020 is whenever it became a business to me, and I was actually starting to make enough money to live.
Wow. So what is your favorite photography style? Like if you're going to go out, I mean, do you just appreciate the layout of the world, or what do you like when you go out just for you, like shooting just specifically for the fun of it? What are you kind of going after? Is it variable?
Yeah. So it is kind of two different things. Like, cause ever since I started photography, I had two separate kind of categories of what I love. So portraits and landscape or street photography. Like those are kind of three, but for me, landscape and street photography go hand in hand in my brain. But so right now, what I love to do, if it's just for me, I love to do like collaboration shoots with local models or people in the community that know how to get their photo taken. So I reach out to them and send them some ideas that I have,
Right.
and pretty much bring all my equipment and go to a park, go to the street corner, wherever it is that the concept calls for, and just bring a concept to life, an idea and bring it to life. That's one thing I love to do. And then since that requires a lot of planning, what I also do is street photography as well. And recently I've gotten back into it because during the past like 2 years, I've kind of gotten so focused on work that photography just became like a job only. But in the past few months, I've actually started to differentiate doing it for fun and doing it for work again. So I've done a lot of street photography, and that means just going to neighborhoods, going to downtown, really anywhere in Houston where things are happening or there's beautiful architecture. I just go there, try to find subjects and take a picture of whatever I see,
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so you said that it sounds like you've been really busy, just at the work part of things. So what has been kind of what people have been wanting to book with you? Is it any specific events or?
I would say the most common thing that I get on a consistent basis is portraits. So whether that, like, it's a broad spectrum. It's real estate, agents need photos,
I
headshots
could
for
see where
businesses.
that would be big. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also a lot of people want photos for their birthday. So like just the other day I did photos for someone's birthday, and say they're turning 21, 30, any kind of like milestone age. And then I have clients of mine who I do birthday photos for every year. So every
that's
year
so
on their
cool.
birthday, they'll post like an editorial style or just professional photo set on their birthday every year. And those are some of my favorites because it's cool to see the progression every year of like the different ideas they come up with, and also my photography getting like different throughout the years and
Sure.
better. So I would say number one for me is portrait work, and that's of any type. And then events are still a pretty big part of it, but that's more so occasional. And I'm really trying to focus more on business work. So like corporations, local small businesses, anything that needs on a bigger scale and also on a consistent basis. That's what I'm trying to start working towards. So that's like branding photos, product photos, headshots. That's what I'm really aiming for, like that kind of market.
Man, I think that's big business. Everybody wants their business to look great. And it takes a very unique eye to capture the quality of the environment in a business. Whether that's an actual like corporate job where you go there and you're in full attire, or a restaurant, that wants to display their food, or their beer. I'm a big fan of beer these days. I shouldn't be, and I've been, but yeah, that's besides the point. But yeah, no, it takes a lot. And photography is insane. I always said that if I was in photography, I would probably veer towards like the nature side of things, because I went to school. I have my master's degree in biology, so I took all kinds of classes that involved me having to learn about different animals, snakes, frogs. Had to take a reptile course. I learned about birds and plants, and so everything that kind of combines into this world as we know it. That's always been a cool interest. I'd be flipping through the textbooks and I'd see photographs of like a poison dart frog, with like a real beautiful look to it, and I was like, man, it almost looks AI generated, but they're not. There's people going out and taking these photos and doing the legwork to capture these moments and especially things that people don't get to see every day.
Yeah,
which is insane. Especially with the algorithms these days. You start, I don't know about yours, but I start scrolling on mine and it's almost the same thing over and over again, just different styles, versus just a wild algorithm. So
yeah, I do notice that like things trend, and there's certain things that will get you a lot of views, and there's certain things that just won't like, and you don't even know how to follow it. Like so many things change. It's really hard to keep up with, you know.
It is
and,
very hard.
and it is an art form just to keep up with the algorithm. But really, I do think that I mean that reminds me of one of the things that helped me is being consistent. That for me, besides just the algorithm, anything you do and you be consistent at it, whether it's painting, photography, video, writing, like whatever it is, if you just keep doing that thing, you're gonna get better at it. You're gonna get recognition, but it's gonna take time.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people I feel like do things where it's okay, why hasn't it happened yet? It's like it's been a week, it's been a year, why hasn't something happened? But you know, I did photography for 4 years before I turned it into a business. And there's people I know who have done it for 8 years before they turn it into a business. So I feel like real solid success doesn't happen overnight. It happens with consistency and staying focused on what you want and having a passion for it too. Because if you don't have a passion for something, it's like you're having to force yourself to do it. And
there's
then,
no means to continue. Yeah,
exactly.
It makes sense. Yeah, it's crazy, and a lot of people never find what they love. You know, I know. You know, I was looking to see what I love for the longest time. You know, I'm 20. I'm about to be 28 now, and you know, the past decade. You know, from when I graduated high school, it's been a constant search for myself and who I was and who I wanted to be, and you know, figuring out what expectations that I wanted for myself, you know, and you know, I'm just now realizing the importance of, you know, keeping your body healthy, you know, eating right. And also, you know, on the mind side of things, doing what you love, you know, because if you wake up and you do something that you don't love every day, it's going to eat away at you, you know? And like you said, you know, during doing what you love, that doesn't mean that it's going to be easy or, you know, it's going to be simple, but, you know, in doing what you love, there, you know, comes sacrifice and all kinds of other things that are required in order to achieve the goals that you set, you know? And so it's big and it's really cool that you've found that, you know, and not to mention, you know, your wife is also in photography. Is that something that you kind of pulled her in when y'all met, or were y'all separately into photography and then kind of just conjoined, or how does that work?
Yeah. So Leslie, she was already into photography at the time, and she also had a really big interest in doing video. So she kind of like had an interest in both, but at the time was doing photography. And the way we met was actually, we like to say, like, on the streets, you know, we just met. Like, I have a friend of mine, Jeff, who we went to go shoot all the time back then, like in 2020 and 21. We would go take photos together all the time, and we'd be out every day, kind of like in high school. And so she actually reached out to him and said, hey, I want to be out there and take pictures more. Like, she was trying to get herself out there in the community because she saw what the community was doing, and that whenever you're with other people, it's a lot more inspiring than just doing it by yourself sometimes. So he is actually a very introverted person. So I'm surprised he even responded to her, like, and said, come on out. Cause they had met once or twice. And so he invited her out, and whenever I met her, she actually knew who I was.
So, that's cool.
So yeah, she knew who I was through Instagram, and we had also talked through Instagram and had met once before, like just in passing at a art gallery. And so for me, I was like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And she just already knew my name and who I was. And so it was really funny.
That is cool though.
And she told me, like, you know, I thought we were supposed to go shoot together. And like, she kind of put me on the spot, and I was all like, wait, what? And so I was confused, but she was just joking with me and kind of like poking fun
that's
at me.
a good way to get you.
It was so funny. And so that first moment we met, we just started talking a lot, and we were the only ones talking since my friend's a very big introvert. He was just kind of sitting there chilling, and me and her were talking.
Right.
And so I thought to myself, like, hey, we were supposed to go shoot back, you know, a few months ago. So I want to invite her out to come join this shoot, this portrait shoot with me. And so I invited her out, and we had a really good time. And so I invited her to get coffee afterwards. We just talked for hours, and we started to build this friendship. And very soon after, I thought, like, this girl loves Jesus. She's a photographer as well. She has a really good heart, and she's beautiful. So it's like, I need to do something about this. I need to like ask her out. And so at the time I had never asked anyone out. I've never had a girlfriend before, but I asked her out. She decided to go on a date with me, and then 10 months later we got married. And so
Wow.
yeah, we got married
Well,
really
congratulations.
fast. Thank you. Yeah. And so she was into photography already, but as we were getting closer, as we started dating, getting engaged and married, we started to realize like if we're going to be working together, you know, if we're going to be doing photos together, we need to get on the same camera system. And so I use Nikon, and so I got her to get onto Nikon. She used Canon, and so she switched over and got a Nikon, and so now we had the same lenses and could just
cool.
swap back and forth.
That's smart.
And and so during the first few years, we did a lot of photo shoots together. She would help me on photo shoots, and I would help her. And then in the past year or so, she's gotten really into videography, and she actually inspired me to get into video recently as well. So, you know, she got into video. I'm starting to get into it. And so we kind of just been growing together and really just inspiring each other every day. It's been amazing to, because with marriage, you know, you learn a lot from each other, but especially whenever you have the same hobby and interest and profession, like you really learn how to inspire each other, and you'll say things that the other person didn't even think of, and then they'll say things that you had no idea to even think of. And so it's really just a blessing to have her in my life and to help build each other up throughout the past few years.
Right. Yeah, having that good team is necessary. You know, you need a team full of people that want to win, you know, and that's just what it is. That's an amazing story. I'm glad you guys found each other, because it's tough out there, man. I haven't had any luck myself. I'm still looking.
No, it really is, like, because I had a lot of friends of mine who were in long relationships that like were really long, and they didn't end up staying together.
Right.
And so I had seen all these people in my life who didn't have successful relationships. And at the time whenever I met Leslie, I was 20. And so I was like still really young at the time, but I knew that I'm not going to like waste my time with relationships. I'm not going to waste my time with someone that I'm not serious about, someone that I'm not sure about. And I told myself, like, if I'm going to be dating someone, I need to at least see myself marrying them. Maybe I won't marry them in 10 months, but I'm going to envision that before I even go out with them, if they have the same values. And so the way it happened with Leslie was very natural. Just we became friends at first, and then it turned into a relationship. So I feel like that's a rare way to do it. You know, it's not always that way, but it's honestly one of the strongest ways, I feel like, versus just meeting someone, whether someone connects you with them or you meet them online. Like, it's not the same whenever you try to look for things you have in common versus just, you know, this person already, you're familiar with them, and you see that you have a lot of your values and your hobbies, and you have the same heart for just the world and for life. So yeah, I think like becoming friends with people, you know, when you're single, becoming friends with people is one of the most natural ways just to create a relationship, you know. And it doesn't have to turn into a relationship, but I feel like for a lot of people that's how it works, you know.
Yeah, I like I said, I'm still waiting on that one. You know, I'm not rushing anything. Here's my problem. It's hard to find somebody that with the same values, you know, and you know, everybody's different, and I know you have to kind of give and take, you know, in a relationship and things like that. But yeah, we're keeping an eye out, you know. But man, that's amazing. So what, you know, are you guys looking to kind of progress business together, you know, even further? Like, I mean, what kind of plans do y'all have in the future for this? I mean, since y'all are moving kind of in this videography world into this new realm, which opens up a lot more doors, it seems like, you know, especially in the age of social media, you know? So, you know, what kind of plans do you guys have as far as y'all's business?
Yeah. So, in the past year, I've been working a lot with, my aunt. She does marketing. She's worked with like so many different companies throughout the years, like Google, like a lot of different companies. She's worked personally as their, like consultant. She helps them with marketing. And so I'm really blessed to have her as the person that's been mentoring me. So I get on calls with her multiple times a week and kind of just go over my website, business plan, things like that. And this past year, I really have gotten honed in on the business aspect because, you could take photos, you can take great photos, but if you don't want to have a business, if you don't know how to have a business, then you're gonna like not get anywhere. Really, I mean, it's gonna be hard to get there.
And the business side of things is complicated too.
It really is and I didn't go to college for more than a year, so I will say that I don't regret not going to college. But hey, if you love college, go for it. Like get whatever degree you need in life. But for me, that was a hurdle to jump over because even though it was a great momentum, I didn't get those same business skills that you would if you went for like a business degree or marketing degree. But thankfully, there's the internet. I have my aunt who's been helping
allegedly,
me. Yeah, allegedly.
Yeah.
And so the internet's been helping me a lot. YouTube, just like reading things, like reading sources. And my aunt really has been finding a mentor. Finding a mentor really helped me because it gives you a sense of direction rather than I know how to take photos, but how do I get clients? Like I know how to do my lighting this way, but how do I send an invoice? And so really just finding people in your life that are doing what you want to do has helped so much. But through that process, I've realized I want to start working with companies because even though I love doing photos for individuals, like for graduations, families, engagements, etc. Like I love doing that. What I've realized is that working with businesses will create more consistent income, more consistent work, and it'll also make it more streamlined because I'll know what I'm doing. I'll have more of a routine built up, and so yeah, really trying to work on getting like monthly consistent work with small businesses or corporations in Houston. And we've actually started to work with a few, but I'm still in the process of kind of getting everything in order before I execute that, getting my email set up, my website all polished, and just everything on the look side. I'm trying to get that set up before I go for it because I don't want someone to see at gmail.com or I don't want someone to see I only have an Instagram to look at, so just polishing that up.
Yeah, the website looks amazing, man.
Oh, thank you.
I went through it. I mean, I was scrolling through photos. I that's what kind of messed me up. I was looking on your profile earlier, and I went to the photos of all the food and stuff, and I was like, man, I gotta go downstairs and get me some food. There's a like a little it's called Turmeric. It's like a little restaurant downstairs. They do like curries and stuff. I went down there and got some curry. So I was like, man,
because of the photos.
Because the photos, I was like, man, I thought I could hold off until this evening, but yeah, it didn't happen.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, I know. I need to chill out though. I've been craving beer and carbohydrates because I haven't been eating carbohydrates or drinking beer. So
you've been like cutting it off.
Yeah,
completely?
trying to low carb, low sugar, low breads and things like that. But yeah, just trying to be more aware and more healthy and kind of have better habits, better daily habits, because I start eating bad. I wake up in the morning and I just feel my body doesn't. It's a direct correlation, If I eat healthy, I pop up, man, I'm ready to go, But yeah, no, every decision has its impact, whether it's good or bad, So eating bad for me is definitely a bad decision. But
yeah, for sure, there is like a lot of correlation with like how you eat and how you feel. Like because me and Leslie are actually working on doing the same thing, like cutting back on bread and sugar. Like we're not doing it
the movement right
completely.
Now,
Yeah, we're not doing it completely because we're not there yet. but we're cutting it back by like as much as we can, probably like half or 80% of what we normally do.
And I'll tell you what the most dangerous thing is Coca-Colas, like any type of sodas.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of sugar in there is ridiculous,
For real.
So it's definitely good to stay away from, but it's so good.
What I love is like the carbonated water.
Oh yeah, I have some of that too.
Yeah, like I'm talking about just carbonated water and natural flavors, like no added sugars or no artificial sugars. It's just like straight carbonated water with a little bit of lemon flavor, or even getting like some Topo Chico and putting some lime in there.
Yes, I love
that.
Topo Chico.
Helps me so much. That's how I actually stopped drinking soda a while back, is like by replacing it with carbonated water, and it helped me just not desire it anymore. Now, I will say I love soda from time to time at a restaurant, but I feel like finding a healthy alternative really helps you to not feel like you're depriving yourself, but more like you're making a better decision, you know?
Yeah. Nobody wants to feel deprived. You know,
Yeah.
if I feel like I am not allowed to do something, I want to do it more. You know, it's crazy. But you know, what about what businesses are you guys working with? Is that something you could talk about?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of the people we've been working with recently have been, let's see, music artists. A lot of music artists because they need like consistent content for their albums, for their social
Sure, yeah.
media, and also we've been working with people who have their own clothing brands. So that's another big thing that needs consistent monthly content. Is just
Right.
any type of clothing brand that is continually doing drops. That's ideal for us. And then also it's a more broad category, but any type of headshots. So like whether it's an oil and gas company, a law firm, doctor's offices,
Yeah,
even
medicine,
So
yeah.
any type of like very high paying career choice that needs professional photos every quarter, every half a year, every year. We work with them as well, and
Cool.
in doing corporate events. So also we do weddings too. So we do weddings, but we are trying to focus more on, again, like the headshots and
Right,
corporate
yeah.
corporate work and video as well. We're trying to start doing more reels content, more YouTube
Yeah,
videos for
I
people,
think that's big too.
and creating those high quality videos for people that they have talent, they have something to say, a story to share, but they don't know how to like get that onto the internet and make it look good, you know? So that's kind of what we do is we help them bring their vision to life. That's
Right.
ultimately what
There's
we
an
want
art
to do.
to it for sure. You know,
Yeah.
it's definitely an art.
Because it's really hard for businesses whenever they have like an amazing product that helps people, they have an amazing story to tell people, but if they don't have the way to share it, then they're not going to be sharing it to anyone. So
Right.
so visuals are really important, and audio.
Right.
But yeah, just those two combined really helps a business flourish and take it to the next level.
So, how are you finding these businesses, or should I say, how are they finding you? Is it through social media, or is there a lot of networking that plays a part in finding something new, or is it maybe you're walking in and handing a business card, or I mean,
Yeah, I would say that probably like 80% of all the clients that I have are from referrals from other clients that I've worked with. And that's, again, something that comes with time.
Right.
Like in the very beginning of my photography career, it was probably 80% Instagram. So many people found me through Instagram because at the time my page was like poppin'. It was one of the most like showed pages in Houston photographers.
Wow.
So people just saw it as they were scrolling through Instagram, or people who weren't even looking for a photographer. I've heard people book with me and they said, I just saw your page one day and I decided to follow you. And then 4 years later, they booked me for a shoot because they've been following me for all those years.
Wow.
And so that's always a cool
Yeah,
feeling to
planting
me.
the seeds,
Like,
you know?
yeah, planting a seed. Like, so people that I've met 4 years ago, people that followed me 4 years ago, it comes back around. And so honestly, that's
Crazy.
really the key for me is, yes, I do find clients by using like, Google to find local businesses, looking in that certain category of law firms, of doctors, just going to those websites and finding the people I need to contact. But what I've learned through business is that if you can find someone that you know and they know someone else, that's way more valuable than walking into a business and trying to cold call, cold email, or talk to them in person.
Yeah.
Because whenever it's someone else's friend or someone else's colleague, there's an established trust there already. And that
Right.
is what I've learned is the most valuable. That's why networking is so important and establishing a good relationship with people. Because if you're doing your business as high and by, like, okay, thank you for doing business, bye. Like, you don't actually get to know the person. You don't
Right.
actually connect with them. They're going to forget you. And whenever someone asks for a photographer, they're going to think, I don't really know anyone. But if they remember you and you had a good experience, they're going to
Right.
want to tell their friends. So
Right.
really just, being a good person to people, being kind and caring and like truly caring about what you're doing for the person is going to help you build like a memory associated with yourself with that person.
Right. That's yeah. I think that's a great way to approach things. I mean that's I mean you said it very well. One thing that I wanted to talk about is the Houston photography community. I didn't realize you guys are knit tight, man. I mean, maybe the most close group of people that I have reached out to. You know, I mean, like everybody knows everybody type
Yeah,
thing.
like Jay Bun.
Yeah,
So I had him on the
yeah.
podcast the other day.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, he's a cool guy, man. He does some really cool stuff. You know, I think photography is an amazing thing. You know, and I'm not the greatest photographer. You know, so that's why I find an interest in it, because it's so unique. You know, and I know that everybody has their own way of, you know, camera settings and environments for shooting and things like that, and everybody has their own kind of unique niche, just like anything. I mean, you look at a doctor, and it's usually a specialized doctor. You know,
Yeah.
what does that doctor specialize in? And it's the same thing for photography. You know, and I think it's really an amazing thing, and Houston is so unique and diverse, but so tight knit. I mean,
It really is. Yeah. Like,
everybody in Houston loves Houston. I mean, we love Houston. You know,
yeah.
represent H Town. You know, so, but yeah,
Yeah. So the photography community has, for me, been one of the pivotal things for me. Is whenever I first started photography, I remember, I think it was 2017 whenever I did my first photographer meetup, and back then before COVID, they had meetups probably every 2 to 3 months, and so that would be one of the best things to do, because you get to meet a lot of people, and you get to build your portfolio by taking pictures of the models there, or taking pictures of other photographers, or the meetup will take you to places you've never been to. And so the meetups for me have been amazing since day one. And I had the honor to like host some meetups as well with some of my close friends that I built up throughout the years. So between like 2019 and 2021, we hosted a few meetups, and with Jay Chen, Hidalgo HCX, Young Savage, Alex Froelich, so many more, Infi, Jay Bun, you know, so many other influential photographers in the Houston community. We put together meetups because when people are first starting out, it can feel kind of like lonesome, and there's nothing to shoot in Houston. There's nothing to take photos of. It's a boring city. And that's kind of how people who don't do photography describe Houston a lot of the time. Like I hear 90% of people say, yep, there's not much to do here. And I can see why they say that. But as a photographer, whenever you get into the community, you see the whole city differently. You see the skyline differently, the neighborhoods, the streets, like everything looks differently through the lens. And for us, we actually had something to do every day, which was take pictures. So we go take street photos, do the rooftops. So the Houston community is really where I got into the urban exploration and exploring abandoned buildings and going to the tallest rooftops. That really got unlocked because I got involved in the community. And I saw people like Doms Carter and Infi and HCX Toast. I saw all these people going to rooftops, and I was like, how are they doing that? Like, and I remember I would ask them, how did you get up here? And then they would give me just vague answers and not really answer. And what's funny is like years later, I kind of did it myself. I just went for it myself, explored those places on my own, got to places that even they didn't really think about. And so they saw me, and I kind of earned a respect with them, you know? And so I really just went for it. Me and some of my other friends who were also amateurs, we went there and we shot every day. And so people started to notice that, you know, it wasn't like I asked them for help and they gave it to me. It was very much earned help, you know? And so once I started to establish myself, these people that I looked up to started to become like my peers and just good friends of mine. So people like Doms Carter, you know, like he's doing some amazing projects right now with portraits and filmmaking, and
he's actually coming on today.
Oh, he's today?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Dom's
it's been
amazing.
it's been a photography week for me. Yeah. I've gotten to talk to a whole bunch of very, very brilliant artists such as yourself. So it's really cool, you know, and you know, just to kind of get a sense of see what everybody's doing and how they're kind of proceeding, you know, and that's really a reason why I started this platform, is because, you know, I had a hard time figuring out what it is that I wanted, you know. There's so many options in the world and so many different routes to take that it was just hard to make a decision. And so I was like, you know, man, in podcasts like Joe Rogan and things like that kind of influenced me in a sense where like, all these people that are doing all these great things are on display, and they get to tell their story, and everybody has a story. And so you kind of get to see the variation of people in their daily lives and what they're doing. And with that, it kind of gives you the ability, or, it gives somebody the ability, or at least like a little view into what people do in order to get that idea of who they may want to be, And so,
Yeah.
so that's kind of the reasoning behind what it is that I'm doing on my side of things, and it's been really cool. Like I was telling you before we started, I'm going into the 3-month mark here. So we just finished 2 months of working out the kinks, and things like that. But yeah, man, and this is just kind of it's a hobby. It's starting off as a hobby, kind of like like photography did for you, because I'm going to work, and I do cancer research throughout the day, and
Oh, that's awesome. That's
it's
awesome.
really
You're able to
cool.
balance both, like doing that work and then also doing your hobby that you love.
Right. Yeah. And it's cool, and everything is kind of working out as it should. And I think that's kind of it's kind of how life goes. Everything works out as it should.
Yeah.
And I think that you're a great representation of that, being that, you started real small, and here you are. I mean, it seems like you're conquering the world over here. You've got a lot of things figured out. One thing that I think that is excellent that you're doing is you have a great team. You and your wife, you have similar goals, and I feel like just from what you've told me, it seems like you guys are kind of driving each other in one direction rather than two separate directions, which I think is what messes a lot of people up. And even in my personal experience, it's if you're not seeing eye to eye, then it's kind of hard to make those ends meet.
Yeah, even with your friends too. Like it also applies to friends, not just if you have a wife or a girlfriend, but like
Sure.
your friends too. If you're not seeing eye to eye on a lot of things,
Yeah.
and if you have all these goals and dreams that your friends don't see or they don't agree with,
Right.
then friends can really drag you down. And it's not to say that like, oh, your friends need to be giving you this. I'm not gonna be like one of those people that's like, cut out all your friends. No, like, but your friends do matter. And like, whenever I surrounded myself with people who are doing better than me, who are doing more than me, it inspired me and it pushed me to do more. Whenever you see someone that you're close to doing something, you have a little bit of a fire under you versus seeing someone online do it. Because online, you're like, I don't know their story. I don't know what they're going through. So you don't really have any relation to people who you don't know online. But whenever it's like your close friend, your spouse, your family, and you see them doing something, like it inspires you in a different way than any stranger would,
Yeah, isn't that crazy too?
Yeah.
It's definitely crazy. Yeah, the people that you keep around is definitely important. I had a music artist on here. His name is Cringe, and he was telling me that he wants to be around leaders. Because when you're around leaders, then you become a leader. And in this world of hecticness, I mean, you go outside right now. I mean, it's almost 5:00. And I mean, it's madness out there in the world. So yeah, it's a very interesting perspective, photography, because you kind of get a view of things that most people won't ever see, and I think that's a beauty. How many people are climbing up on top of these buildings? How many people are exploring and finding different routes through the city, and it's amazing. It's an amazing thing. So I'm I know you're passionate about it. You seem to really love what you do.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's really what has, I think, set me apart, and people that I have also seen continue is whenever they're really passionate about it. Like I know friends of mine, like a few more people that I really love their work is One Cuban, Daniel, Doms Carter, HCX Toast, these people who I've known since I first started in 2017, people that I looked up to, they're still going at it. You know, they're finding new things, they're finding new ways to be creative, but they're still being consistent. And I think that is what passion does. Is it separates the people that are just doing it for a hobby and the people that, even if it is a hobby, they're not stopping for years, you know, and they continue it.
Love,
And so, they have a love for it. And like we talked about earlier, if you don't love something, then you're probably going to stop doing it eventually. You know, if you don't have a reason,
it'll eventually chip away at the actions, you know. So it's a really incredible thing, this passion, you know. And I have people that are friends. I have good friends that are passionate about all kinds of things, whether it's mixed martial arts and like jiu-jitsu and photography, painting. Painting seems to be an amazing passion, or I guess hobby turned passion for a lot of people. You know, I think painting is amazing. But yeah, it's a wild time to be alive.
It is.
You know, it's always something. You know. So what are some of your most significant achievements or milestones in this photography career so far?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say like clearly one of the biggest was just being able to do it full time. That for me felt very, it felt like the biggest accomplishment ever, to move out of my parents' house, to get my own place, and to be like sustaining myself off of that.
Yeah.
And I will say, I want to give some context that I was able to do it throughout high school, and that really gave me the freedom to kind of flourish, you know. And people who have a full-time job, like yourself, who's doing it full-time, that takes so much work, you know. Like what you're doing takes a lot of work. It's not something that's easy, you know. Like like you're doing a full-time job or even part-time, and then you're also trying to turn something into a career.
Right.
That is a whole nother level, and I like commend anyone who's able to transition. But for me, I had a really big head start with doing it at a young age. And so that to me was one of the biggest accomplishments, is like doing it full time. Another big accomplishment that happened just last year was the showcase that I had with the Prisoner Wine Company. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Oh no, I haven't, but that sounds cool.
Yeah, the Prisoner Wine
try
Company.
Their wine.
Yeah, they're really good actually. I used to not be that big of a wine person, but whenever I tried their wine, I was like, because they sent me some bottles, and I was like, this is actually really good. And so we still have some that we're saving. Yeah. So, but I did this partnership with them where they paid to get my photos printed. They had a whole showcase that displayed my photos and had a bunch of people come out. They ran ads on Instagram and social media, and like I think 200 or 300 people came out that I don't even know. You know, people that I don't even know. They just followed the Prisoner Wine Company, or they saw the ad, and they had this free event for the whole city to come out, and it was pretty much the Prisoner Wine and me. So it was pretty crazy, and I got paid to be a part of that. It wasn't like, hey, do you want to be a part of this thing for free? You know, because that's what so many companies do. But they actually wanted to pay me for my time, for the usage of my photos, and so that to me was so special to have my family there, attend, my friends.
That is cool.
You know, my wife along my side, and so that was probably the biggest accomplishment, because the photos that they used were the photos I took in Houston on the rooftops and at nighttime, because their whole theme was own the night. You know, it was Houston at night. And so it was mind blowing to me that I'm making a good amount of money on these photos that I took just for fun, just because I wanted to go out there and capture the city as I saw it. I never would have known that 4 years later, I am here getting paid, you know, a good amount of money just to have them in a showcase where they highlight me and their company. So that was probably the biggest accomplishment.
Yeah.
And, those are the two biggest things. Becoming full-time and that showcase was just mind-blowing to me. And it felt surreal, you know, like to do that.
As it should. I mean, that's a big deal, you know. When you're, I know we're kind of jumping around, but when you're editing these photos, I mean, I could imagine it's a pretty complex process. Am I right?
Yeah, it's pretty complex. Anything with photography, like whether it's taking the pictures, editing the photos, it has a lot of layers, and like sometimes literally layers in Photoshop. But it has a lot of different layers of the lighting, the color, the shadows, the highlights. It took a long time for me to really learn how to get a photo from out of the camera to what I like. And
Right.
even looking back on my photos, I really sucked at it at first. You know, most people, they're gonna suck at writing music,
Right,
at editing
yeah.
Photos,
Starting a
whatever.
podcast,
Yes,
yeah.
so, hey, you're doing pretty good though.
Episode 1 didn't even get released because the sound literally dropped. I mean,
Oh,
we
no.
did. Yeah, it was a mess. But
Dang.
but yeah, no, I agree. It definitely takes that initial initiative to begin. You know, and once you begin, you kind of get some momentum. And then you get a little bit more speed, you know, and then
Yeah.
things start to make sense, and you start to actually get some movement, which is incredible, you know. I mean, for like I said, I know I keep saying this, but for anybody to follow their dreams and see some success at any level,
Yeah.
it is incredible. I mean, I think that that's probably the most amazing thing that anybody could do in life, you know, is be recognized for doing something that they love, you know.
Exactly.
And so-
Yeah. And you're right about what you said with that beginning steps. Like, whenever you start anything, you're gonna have to get through that initial stage of failing, of messing up,
Right.
of not getting something that you wanted. But I think that one piece of advice that I like always remember every day is having a balance of like humility, but also pride. Like, so having a pride in what you do, even if you suck at first, like
Right.
at least saying, I love this photo that I got, or this song is so good. Like having some pride in it, but also being humble enough to say, yeah, I can work on this and I can do better at this. Because if you have too much of one thing, you're not going to get anywhere. You know, if you're too
Yeah.
prideful about your work, then you're never going to want to improve. And then if you're too humble about it, you're going to feel like I'm not that good enough. Like, there's no point even continuing. So finding that healthy balance of humility and pride in your own work is the sweet spot, and you'll start to learn from your mistakes, but also love it enough to keep doing it. You know.
Man, that's deep too. It's very, I agree with you. You know, it's definitely necessary. Speaking of balance, I mean, how are you balancing? I know you told me that you're just now kind of getting back to that point where you are, performing your duties, but for things that you love. You know, so how are you balancing this whole work and play lifestyle?
Yeah, that's a good question, because before I got married and like started actually having another human being in my life that I spent time with, that I had responsibility for. Before that, I would honestly just work and shoot photos and be outside nonstop. Like, I was one of those people that couldn't sit still. You know, I couldn't be at home for too long. Like, my apartment, me and my roommate, like, I'd be there just at night because I want to sleep, you know. But
yeah.
anytime I wasn't there, I would be out taking pictures or editing photos. That's how it was before. But now that I've actually got into a relationship and am learning how to live with someone else, like Leslie has taught me a lot about being able to sit and be still, you know, and not just continually work nonstop.
Right.
And because I know that a lot of people get really far by just working nonstop, but I've found that you can get a lot more if you work nonstop, but you're also going to sacrifice parts of your life, you know?
Yeah.
And like you said, it is a balance. It's a give and take. If you want to be an entrepreneur that works nonstop, you're going to get really far, but are you going to be building your friendships, your time with family,
Right.
your like your spouse, your girlfriend? Are you going to be building those other things? And so when I got married, I realized there is more to do in life than just make money and take photos. Because people would ask me, what do you do for fun outside of photography? And I would say, I go to church and I hang out with my friends. Like, that's all I did besides take photos, was just go to church and hang out with my friends, and maybe we'll just walk around. But
Right.
but now I actually do more things, like work out. I ride bikes. We walk around the city and just explore without a camera, you know, just walking around to enjoy walking around, you know. And so me and Leslie have really built that like separation from working nonstop to having some time to just be together and have time to ourselves. And but recently I realized, like, you know, having time to yourself is one thing, but also it's building relationships with other people. So I've started to invest more time into friends and
Yeah, that
kind of
camaraderie, you know.
kind of like invest more time into friendships, because again, whenever you're around people that are doing amazing things, you're gonna feel inspired. And so anytime I'm around my friends, I just have this boost of like, hey, I want to do this and I want to do that, and I didn't even think about that. Like, let me try this thing next time I'm out. And so, you know, finding time to be with friends, with Leslie and myself, have been the three things that I try to balance, because before it would be just work, you know, and I kind of lived my life working.
Right.
And so it was also really hard between 2020 and maybe 2022, because I started to work so much and get busy that I didn't really feel inspiration in taking photos anymore. So what I did to help that was get into film photography. That to me, and I was talking to Jay Bun about
What
this.
is film photography?
So film is like the stuff you do whenever you put the, you know, canister of film in your camera and you have to wind it, and you have to send it off to Walgreens or CVS to get it developed, you know, like back in the old days.
Right.
So film photography is kind of like using the oven instead of using the microwave. You know, digital cameras are so quick and easy. You get as many photos as you want and you have tons of storage. But with film, each photo was a physical piece and it costs money, you know? So I started shooting film because you can't see the photo until you get it developed. So every photo you take was like, I hope I got it. And it has this sense of mystery and of anticipation for what you're going to get. So kind of like when you put something in the oven, you don't know, like it could be there for 45 minutes, for an hour, but you're gonna have to wait and hope it comes out good, because you have to follow the recipes and everything. So film really taught me to separate my work photography from my personal photography. And that was a game changer for me, is having two different mediums, digital and film. And then recently film has gotten really expensive. Like I think per photo now for the actual roll of film and developing it, it's probably like $1 per picture, you know? So like each photo you take is $1. And so you take 36 photos, that's about $30 or $40.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was starting to feel a little bit fatigued, you know, like every time I go take pictures, I'm spending money. And I'm like, it just doesn't feel rewarding anymore. It feels like I'm being so selective that I don't take shots that I want to take. And so I recently got on this journey of finding the perfect digital camera setup for myself. So having like a more compact camera that I bring around with me all the time, and something that can just fit in a little bag and I can take with me anywhere, because that's ultimately, it's a very common saying that the best camera you have is the one that you have with you, you know? So, you know, if you could have this amazing large format camera, but if you don't bring it with you everywhere because it's too heavy, then what's the point in like even using it if you can only use it on certain occasions? So for me, I feel really happy that I've found a nice compact setup that I can bring with me anywhere, and taking photos feels fun again. You know, like it feels like it's not work, but it's just what I want to do. So that's helped me a lot.
That's amazing. Have you seen the videos that these guys are doing? They'll walk up to like a group of bachelorette parties and things like that, and they'll hand them like the photo or the camera, the disposable camera. They'll say, "Hey, you know, my name's so and so. Do you mind taking photos on y'all's adventures tonight, and I'll get them processed for you." And so like they do it, and they send the photos, or they give the camera back, and then they process the photos, and the photos that come out are awesome. Have you seen those videos?
I haven't seen that before. Is that like something new?
Yeah, look, I'm actually just gonna show you here.
Yeah. That's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, and honestly, that's what I was thinking. I was like, man, you know, with your wife, she's into videography. Man, she could follow you around and be like, you know, hey, my name is Philip Emerson. I'm gonna, you know, I'm a photographer from out of Houston, and then, you know, do the whole spiel. Dude, I think that would be amazing, honestly.
No, for real.
And it's different. It's you get variation, you know, because everybody's different, and you know, I think. You do, you know, I know you said it's like $40 per camera roughly, but I mean, if you you'd only have to dish out a couple cameras a week, and
That's true.
and you could probably have some really insane products,
No, for sure.
but just something fun, let me see. I don't even know. I'm just on YouTube here, but I've seen it on Instagram Shorts, or the Instagram Reels. But let's see. I don't even know what I'm gonna type in. Photographer
Disposable camera.
hands out. Yeah, disposable.
That's a really cool idea.
Let's see. Yeah, so I guess like the trend is giving disposable cameras to strangers.
Nice.
Excuse me. Are you going on a trip? If I give you this camera, can you take photos of your trip? We'll get it back and make a cool video with it.
That's so cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't seen that video yet, but I can imagine the photos were amazing.
And that's honestly the type of photography that I feel like I've been drawn towards more so is the life moments. Like it's funny. I have my main page, like, Philip E Photography,
Right.
and then I also have my film page, which is all film photos. But I created a new page that's just more so daily life and daily travels, what I'm doing on a daily basis, and they're still like looking like film, but what those photos kind of show is real life moments.
Right.
Because with my photography, I do create a lot of unrealistic or fake setups that would never happen, or that you wouldn't see with your eye. It's a lot of stuff that is supposed to look better than real life, like look more beautiful than real life. But with those photos, I feel like it really captures real life.
Yeah.
And even if you don't know those people, those are still amazing photos, and
Right.
it's capturing what they're actually doing,
Right.
And I think that's what that new page I've started is about, is just capturing me.
Well, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
add,
exactly.
Add some to the portfolio. Another thing, Washington Avenue is near the studio here, and at Friday and Saturday nights, I mean, it's just crazy out there. I mean, it's kind of you get a full idea of Houston's nightlife, Houston's party life, because you have cars on the streets just blaring music. You could feel the bass on your feet. People are lining the sidewalks and walking from bar to bar. I think that would be an awesome awesome to capture. So
For sure, and also for that idea as well, like handing it to someone, and then take photos throughout the night. Like, but that's actually a really good idea. Going to Washington Avenue, because really, with street photography, like capturing other people, the ideal place is where a bunch of people are at one time, where you can kind of blend into the background
Right.
and not be super obvious. If it's just you and one other person, they're gonna be like, why are you taking photos of me? But if it's like a whole crowd of people and they're all on their way to somewhere, they're not going to really notice you kind of sniping those pictures,
Yeah.
And that's really like the most ideal situation. So that's a good idea.
Yeah. And also, I know that there's like, almost like the ghettos of Houston, over by U of H, like in like Third Ward area, I want to say. And then also downtown, I know that there's a lot of people that are unique and like, I guess almost like living on the streets. But that's like I always find that to be like a real powerful photograph. Is people like with the tents. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the videos or the footage from like LA. There's the prostitutes on the road,
Like Skid Row.
Yeah. And so I think it's really crucial to show the world things that, again, back to things that people don't see every day. And people that don't live in the area or live in a big city have never seen any of this stuff, and so it's all new to them. And I think that's where photography is most powerful.
Exactly. Showing those places that you would never go to. Like even recently after COVID, I got really into nature photography. And it's the same thing with like landscapes of mountains, trees, national parks, or small towns, like just small rural towns. A lot of people would never go to the top of this hike or would never go to Washington or this part of Oregon. They don't
Right.
go to they go to the places like New York, LA, Miami,
Right.
just the common places. And going to the roads less traveled really does make people intrigued, and they want to know like, oh, this is what it's like in this part of America, or this is
Right.
what it's like in this part of Houston. So I think that's what one photographer that I'm reminded of is Mikey Lazo. His name on Instagram is Old Man Mikey, but he is just like, he started pretty recently, but he's just taken off with his
Wow.
skill. He shoots only film. So every photo he takes is like, you don't know if it's gonna come out good, but he's so talented that he's able to like get the photo perfectly in camera, and he just makes beautiful images. But he shows a lot of Houston's like more third ward style neighborhoods, like U of H, southeast side,
Right.
north side. So like he shows the neighborhoods of Houston for something that no one else could walk into. Like someone else wouldn't want to walk there,
Right.
or they feel like, I don't know this area, I'm going to keep my doors locked. But he grew up in these areas, and so he's able to document him, Saint Lethird, Hugo, just a bunch of amazing photographers who shoot that in Houston, and they do an amazing job at photographing the culture. Like
yeah.
beyond just a random person, it's more like their cousin, their neighbor, their cousin's best friend, their brother's best friend, like people that they're actually connected to, and a culture that they're connected to. So that to me is always amazing to see when they post their photos, like, and they do a great job at making
Right.
it look interesting. It's not just a
Yeah.
boring picture. They make insane photos. So
But you could do a lot with just a photograph. One photograph could explain. It could have a whole full story behind it.
yeah.
And that brings me to another thing that I saw that you were doing. Speaking of things that people don't do, but you actually drove down. I think it was 10 hours for the solar eclipse.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people, wanted to see it, but it wasn't in the trajectory, the trajectory, and I think I just switched that projection and trajectory.
Yeah.
I think I swapped them, but yeah, that was a cool experience. I mean, the video that you have on your Instagram was incredible. I mean, it's
Thanks.
full totality,
Yeah, that was just one example like of how me and my friends, or me and Leslie, will put so much research into a photo. Like, I feel like photography, and this may sound a little too deep, but it's like photography really has changed the way I look at the world, and it's changed the way I research things, the way I travel, the way I live my life. It's kind of made me learn because I want to get the photo. Like, I'll hike up this mountain because I want to get the photo. I'll drive 10 hours. I'll spend hours researching because I want to get the photo. And so the photo is like the motivation. And because of that, you'll do anything you can to get it. So you'll research, you'll learn a new skill. You'll learn how to hike and learn like how to prepare for hiking, how to
sounds
travel.
awesome though.
Yeah. Like, and so the eclipse was one of those examples where my friend Jeff was telling me about it, like, I think 8 months in advance, and I totally forgot about it. But about a month beforehand, I said, okay, we need to go to Austin because that's where the Path of Totality is. I booked a hotel, and I found out what town we can go to. So I had it all planned out, and I even got a new lens just for this shoot, like a new lens.
Wow.
I didn't spend too much money on it, but I was like, I'm gonna get something
Allegedly.
that can, yeah, I'm just like something that can get me a little more zoomed in because it's
Right.
so far away,
Yeah.
So I did all that research, prepared. I got the right filter for it because if you don't use the right filter, you can actually burn a hole in your sensor.
Holy crap.
And people have accidentally burned holes in their camera sensor because they didn't know about that, So you have to have a special filter. And so I did as much research as I can. But 3 days beforehand, I see that all of Texas is going to be cloudy. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
I
Like, all this
know.
research, I got a hotel, I got a new lens, a filter. I got like money invested into it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm going to fully accept if it doesn't work out, if the clouds cover everything and I miss it, who cares? We're going to go to Austin and we'll have a good time.
Yeah,
We'll have
yeah.
fun. But what happened was I kept checking the weather like every hour. I'm talking about the 2 days beforehand. I was checking it every hour. And I was looking at Dallas, Waco, San Antonio, because those are the cities that were in the path.
Right.
And I saw that Dallas and the north part of Texas was actually going to be somewhat clear. And so I was like, you know what? we'll just drive to Dallas from Austin. So we drove, 2.5 hours to Austin, and then we drove 4 hours up to Dallas because we wanted to get the path of totality with a clear view. So there was this small town in Dallas called like Midlothian. It sounds like some Marvel character, but it was like Midlothian, Texas. And for some reason, that spot had like almost clear skies. And so we were able to get the actual path of totality. But a lot of people in Austin, San Antonio, and even parts of Dallas didn't get to see it because the clouds covered it.
Wow.
So that's just like, it is an example of how whenever you want the photo, you're going to do research. You're going to like
by any means
necessary. Exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's the same thing with the rooftops, like whenever we would go to those buildings, like you want to get to the top of the building. So how do you need to dress? How do you walk in? How do you get to the roof access? Where even is that? And so it's a lot of trial and error, and we just learned the techniques, and really that's what all photography is, whether you're shooting street or portraits or rooftops or whatever, like travel. It's all about like finding your technique that you kind of find and get comfortable with. And so that way, whenever that moment comes, it like just like that, like quickly. And finding your routine and your technique is a key to executing the shot.
Wow, man, that's incredible. You, sir, have made some extreme progress just from starting your professional career, only 4 short years ago, and since then you've gotten to experience things and travel places and see things that most people will go their whole lifetime without seeing. So cheers to you, man, because I tell this to a lot of my guests, but a lot of my guests are following their dreams, and I think that's a big deal, to kind of break the system in a sense of, you decide who you are, and I think that's very important, and you, sir, have done that,
Thank you.
And so I guess we'll go ahead and close this bad boy up. We're almost to that hour and a half mark, but first off, I want to say thank you for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
You have some really cool insight, and I would love to have you on as a guest in the future. To kind of keep up on your progress and your journey. Also, that shirt is badass. I really like your shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, I got this in Honduras. We went on a family cruise last year, and one of the stops was like Brottem, Honduras. And so we went to one of the shops, and I got this shirt like in this little tiny hut where she was like selling shirts on the wall, and I was like,
I love that.
That looks really cool. And so
yeah,
just the fact that it's such a nice material and everything, it's
it looks real soft. Shirt. Yeah, real comfortable. Yeah,
and I feel like it goes with like a lot of different events, a lot of different types of places. So.
Yeah, it's a fun look. It's like we're. I may end up cutting that part out, but Philip Emerson, thank you, sir, for coming today. You are a great role model for people that are moving into photography. People that are just getting started and things like that. So yeah, man, keep on doing what you're doing, and yeah, I can't wait to see where your story goes.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yes,
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.